Hi, guys. Welcome to the live show of today. My name is Winnie Shum, and I make videos that nurture and nourish Christian relationships and marriages. So, if it's your first time to watch my live video, thank you for watching. You're welcome. And I also want to let you guys know that I have a YouTube channel where I've been making video for over a year, I guess, or almost a year now on issues that can help people in their relationships and marriages. Winnie's Corner is just a platform that I created, to really give, knowledge that I think that I have, to make relationships become healthy, happy, so that we can all enjoy, this beautiful institution of marriage. So if you are interested in wanting to gain knowledge, on relationship and marriage and how we can maneuver it and make sure that we benefit from it and we get the best from it, please, you can like my Facebook page, Winnie's Corner, and you can also follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, and I upload videos there that I think that can really, really edify us all. So thank you all so much for always being part of this live show. For all of you who have always been supporting me, I want to thank all of you. And you can see today I'm alone. I do this most times with my friend Emilia Tabi, but she couldn't make it today, so I had to do it alone. So I just want to share something very, very important. And today's life is going to be very, very brief because I have other commitments that I need to catch up with. So I'm going to be very brief. So going straight to the point. So if you have a comment, if you want to be part of the live show, you can always leave a comment in the comment section. You can contribute, I will learn from it. Everyone will learn from it, and all of us will be blessed at the end. So today's topic is how to communicate effectively with your spouse. So I kind of wrote down some points that I want to talk about. So if you see me looking down, so I'm trying to get straight to the point and see what next I need to talk about so that I don't get distracted. So yeah, so today we are talking about how to communicate with your spouse effectively. People communicate every day, but there is a difference between just communicating and effective communication, and that is what we are focusing on today. That's what we are talking about today. So I'm first of all going to start by saying that trust is the most important thing in a relationship, but at the same time, communication is the next most important thing in a relationship. There is no relationship without communication. No relationship can grow. No relationship can bear fruits without effective communication. And that is the reason why I brought this topic up today, because I feel like, especially for us women, we feel most times that we communicate to our spouse, but that is not necessarily the case. Communication is a skill, and it's a skill that must be learned. So if you're someone that just got married, you find out that you start like learning to know your husband, learning to know your wife, and as you're learning to know them, emotions are involved, misunderstandings and things like that. And we need to be able to communicate our feelings, however we feel, our ideas and emotions, what we think, effectively, without always end up arguing and always end up fighting. Most times when couples go to therapy, what the therapist does is to what she will do is to listen to both party and make sure that he or she, make sure that the people involved are communicating how they feel, and the other person is listening. So it's just a therapist is just like a guide. So I was saying that example to say that it all leads to communication. you know the ability to communicate effectively with your spouse is the foundation for a healthy, long lasting marriage. Many people who have been married for a long time will tell you that they had to learn how to communicate. Because if you don't learn how to communicate, you will not be free in that relationship. You will not be able to express yourself. You will not be able to freely give in that relationship. So communication is the most important. Like I said before, it's not that there is no communication in marriages or relationships. There is communication, but it's not being done rightly. It's not being done effectively. And if you're watching me and you're not yet married, please don't say that, oh, this is because I said that how to communicate effectively with your spouse. You say, oh, this is not my business. It's for married people. No, it's not for married people. If you're in a relationship with someone, you need to learn these things, because it's even better for you to learn it while you are still in a relationship than to learn it in marriage, and maybe you have made a lot of mistakes already before you want to start learning the skills. So this is the perfect time for you as a single person to learn the skills. So we are going to get into what I have for you today. Like I said, this is going to be a short video because I have other commitments I need to hurry and go to. So let's just get into it. So if you have a contribution, please leave it in the comment section, and let's just ride on. So yeah. So when communication in the marriage is bad, it can make a woman feel unheard, and even a man feel unheard, unappreciated. When communication is bad, it can make you feel lonely. You can be married and feel lonely because there is no communication. You are not being free, you are not being expressive, you're not being yourself, you cannot communicate your feelings. So therefore you can be married and at the same time you feel very, very lonely. Yeah. So bad communication causes lack of intimacy, because you are not communicating well with your spouse. You tend not to be really that intimate with your spouse. So communication, I feel like when people talk about chemistry, I don't have chemistry with this person. When people have been married for a long time and they say, oh, we are no longer compatible, we don't longer see things the same way. I think that like I read a book that said that there is nothing like incompatibility, but it's just one person not being ready to listen to the other person. So communication can help create that connection. Effective communication can help create that chemistry. When a man meets a woman for the first time, before they want to have chemistry, they go ahead to talk. They go ahead to say things. So as you say things, that's how chemistry is built. Chemistry does not just come from egg. To create connection with someone does not just come from nowhere. There needs to be a effective communication that builds that chemistry, that then builds up, and before you know, you start feeling like emotions for that person that people call love and all of these things. So effective communication is really important. So the first thing I want to talk about is when we want to communicate with our spouse. In order for it to be effective, like I said before, communication is a skill, and it is very important for every woman in a relationship, whether you're not yet married or married, to be able to learn the skill of communication. Because once you do it, I'm telling you, half of your problems that people say marriage is hard, half of the hardness about marriage will be taken away if you learn the skill of communication. So relationship don't just relationship don't die natural death. There are two things involved. It's either ego. It's either because of ego or because of lack of proper effective communication. There is someone who made this quote and said relationship do not die a natural death, but it's either ego or lack of proper communication. So it is important for us to learn how to properly communicate. It is important for us to learn that this skill of communication is something that we are supposed to go for. If you're newly married, a couple, or if you're a woman that just got married, listen, let me tell you something. Spend time to learn the skill of communication, because it is when you learn the skill of communication that you would know that you will know your spouse. You will learn how to appreciate them. You learn how to just enjoy because you are able to communicate whatever you want to communicate to your spouse without it leading to arguments and quarreling and fighting all the time. Did you mean what did you say all of these things we need to learn. So when you are communicating with your spouse, the first thing you're supposed to look at is the first thing you're supposed to ask yourself is, what is my goal? What do I want to achieve? And let me give an example. For example, if you have an issue with your husband coming late every night, you understand, and you feel bad about it, the first thing you want to, if you want to communicate effectively, the first thing you want to do is to ask yourself, this conversation I want to have with my husband, what is my goal? And you say, okay, my goal is to make him see that when he comes back late, I feel lonely and I feel neglected. So when you know your goal, then you put yourself in control. You put yourself in a situation where you are able to just go straight to the point, where you are able to not take things everywhere. You know that your goal is to make him understand that you feel lonely and neglected when he comes back late all the time. So you don't go ahead to start just talking. So the first thing is to ask yourself, what do I need to achieve in this communication? So ask yourself that before you talk. Don't I feel like we women, because we are emotional, we just talk anyhow, the way we feel. The fact that you are a woman and you feel emotional doesn't mean that you have to just talk anyhow to your husband, or let me express the way I feel, I must say it. No, 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 no. We are supposed to learn the skill of communication. And the first thing I mentioned is ask yourself, what do I need to achieve as I'm talking with my husband? What do I need him to get? And remember that the purpose of it, the goal of every effective communication is to remove what is in your head and put in the head of your husband, and vice versa. You want your husband to understand what exactly you're thinking, how exactly you feel. And to achieve that, you need to be able to do it effectively, strategically. So the first thing is the why. The first thing is the what. What do I need him to know? What is my goal? And then when you've established your goal, and then now you are preparing yourself for the communication to be effective. And then before I go ahead, I just want to say that please, if you can share this video, I will really appreciate it, because there are many people who I really feel can benefit from this. Marriages are suffering because of this lack of communication. And I really want people to get to watch this video, because I really do believe that this video is going to bless a marriage, help someone out there. So please, if you can share the video, I'll really appreciate it. And while you're watching, if you have something to add, please, you can write in the comment section and say something that's going to help me and other people out there that are watching. Thank you all so much. So I'm going to go ahead. First of all, you establish the what, which is, what is my goal? What do I intend to achieve? And remember, the purpose for effective communication is to remove what is in your head and put in the other person's head. So you need to want to do that in a way that you're going to be able to achieve that. Now, let's go to the how, which is the most important part, because there is no problem with the why, with the what, and the why. But there is a problem with the how. And I'm just going to talk about some issues that you can do to make sure that the how becomes effective. I'm just going to go through some issues to make sure that we understand that the how becomes effective. So the first thing is, when we talk about the how, the first thing I want us to look at is tone, intonation, and the right words. Most of us women, when we are talking to our husbands, we don't pay attention to our tone, the choice of words, and our intonation. We just want to shout. You just want to shout. If you feel angry, you just want to shout. And the first thing I want to mention, another thing I want to mention here is, when we come in order for us to communicate effectively, we need to be able to. There's something called a secondary emotion and primary emotion. Primary emotion is what you're feeling at that time. But the secondary emotion is why you're feeling what you're feeling. For example, I used an example before that if your husband is coming late, and you want to have a communication, Don't use your primary emotions to communicate. Think about your secondary emotions. Your primary emotion in this case is anger. You feel anger, but that is the emotion that he can see, anger, and frustration, because but what is your secondary emotion? In this case, your secondary emotion will be loneliness and neglect. So why not focus on your secondary emotion, which is loneliness and neglect, instead of focusing on your primary emotion, which is anger? Because anytime we use anger to talk, there is never a positive there is never a positive outcome. Anytime we use anger to talk, no one has ever acted out of anger and didn't regret it. So you don't want to approach your husband in this case with anger. You don't want to say, because you're angry, just like useless man, because of that anger. You don't want to do that. Focus on your secondary emotion. And when you focus on your secondary emotion, then you'll be able to put yourself in a situation where you can be able to communicate rightly. Now, let's go to the first point that I mentioned about the how. I said the first thing with the how is your tone, your intonation, and your voice, your choice of words. When you're communicating with your husband, you have to make sure. There is a saying that my pastor used to say, think about what you think about. When you are talking to your husband, you need to be conscious. Like, you need to tell yourself, calm down. You might be angry, but at the same time, in order for us to skillfully communicate effectively, you cannot just act anyhow if you want to skillfully communicate effectively. So when you're talking to him, you want to put yourself in a situation where you first of all bring down your voice. You first of all bring down your voice. You don't start shouting and say, why are you coming back at this time? Useless man, useless man. All those kind of things that I've watched a lot of women do since when I was growing up. I saw this a lot. And I used to ask myself, why? Why talk to someone that you love, someone that God has placed in your life to lead you? Why will you talk to them in such a tone? And it's something that women have taken it very, like, it's very normal. It's very normal. You talk to your husband anyhow, and you scream, you shout, you use words. So in order for you to effectively communicate, the first thing you need to think about is control your tone, your intonation, and your choice of words. Don't start calling me useless man. Just like, I knew it. I don't even know why I married you. Those kind of words. You cannot want to have effective communication and you start using such words. It's not going to work, my sister. You're going to make your marriage to be a place, a battlefield where you always fight, because no man will want to hear that you call him useless man and then he stays quiet. You don't want to react. And sometimes it leads to beating. I'm not saying that that's the reason why your husband should beat you, but I'm saying that, sometimes the way women act, you provoke. We tend to provoke. Okay, so we have like, oh, Eloho says teach. Oh, thank you so much, sis. Elvis says effective communication is a key because the solution to every problem you would ever face in your marriage relies on your ability to communicate effectively. Such an important but neglected skill in relationship. Exactly. It's very important. I feel like it's the most important, but it's neglected. When people are preparing for marriage, they don't think about communication. They don't work on their communication skill. And that's why most times, when you go on YouTube, the videos that people watch the least are videos on relationship and marriage. That's what I've noticed. But people want to watch other things that will make them excited and laugh. But when it comes to learning the things that will make their homes be peaceful, people do not have time because they take it for granted. They just want to act anyhow. It takes work to work on your marriage. It takes work to work on yourself, to in turn work on your marriage. When people say work on your marriage, it's not like marriage is not something you work on yourself, because you are the one that gives in that marriage. Whatever you give in that marriage, that's the character of your marriage. So your character reflects the character of your marriage. So you have to be able to educate yourself uh, as much as you can, learn as much as you can, read books as much as you can, watch videos as much as you can, so that the character of your marriage will reflect who you are. And you make sure that when people look at your marriage, they don't see something that they don't want anything to do with. Is that one marriage? No. We need to be able to educate ourselves. How you say what you say is even more important than what you say. Exactly. How you say what you say Be intentional about your choice of what if you want to achieve your goal. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Be careful of your tone, your intonation, and your choice of what. We should stop calling our husbands useless man. You calling your wife useless woman. What can you give me? You have no, you are not of no use. Those kind of words, they will never make you to have a healthy marriage, because you sow what you reap. And also is being intentional about developing yourself. Exactly. We need to be intentional. And that's why I watch videos a lot on marriage and relationship, because I feel like it takes me to want to reflect what my marriage will be, and it takes you to reflect what your marriage will be. It takes you to reflect what your relationship will be like. Until you are committed and intentional to doing things differently, you will never grow and be better. Exactly. You need to be intentional, committed, so that you can be better for your marriage to flourish and produce fruits that will glorify God, and for your children to see what a marriage is supposed to be like. So let me go to the second point. Like I said, I'm going to be very brief because I have other commitments. The second point I will talk about today is timing. In order for you to communicate effectively with your spouse, you need to look at timing. You cannot, your husband cannot come back from work so tired, and he has not even come in, and the first thing is to butt him at the door. I saw this a lot. We had neighbors who used to do this to their husbands. They were butting their husbands again, and when the husband is just coming in, the woman would just grab the man around the neck. Where are you coming from? Useless man, let me talk to you. Did you leave money for food today? Did you leave? Who does he help? How does he help? That's the question I want to ask you. You buttoning him at the door without him even getting in or even resting. How does he help you? No, I want to know, because it's not as if we women, we do some things we are not even conscious. How does it help you that you bought him at the? You need to look at timing. Like I remember, I attended a marriage seminar in our church, and our pastor said, wait for him to come back. Give him food to eat. And even give him, the second food. And then, and that's where you start talking. So timing is very important. Let's know when to say something, and you need to know your husbands. You need to know when you can talk to your husband. If you know that you cannot talk to your husband when he's watching football, and that's when you choose to talk to him, you say he cannot watch that thing. Why I'm angry. You want to talk to him at that time. So you need to know your husband, you need to know your wife when you can talk to him to get the attention. And timing is very important in order to communicate effectively. You cannot just go to his office. Some people go to office in front of his staff, and you bottle him there. You say, come, I want to talk to you. You just meet him. He's distracted. I know that men can only focus on one thing at a time. That's how they are. But we women, we are multitask. But I don't think men are really that multitask. So you need to get their attention. You need to know that you are in the right position. They are in the right position to listen and understand where you're coming from. And the next thing I want to talk about is that if you want to communicate effectively, stop negative comparison. Don't say that, oh, you're like your father, as useless as your father. Or you say, oh, look at that, your friend. You look at the way, he's behaving. Can't you behave like your friend? And you after saying that, if they ask you if you communicate, you say, yes, I've communicated. You have not said anything. You've just made a fool of yourself. And if you want to do effective communication, you can't be comparing your husband to another man. Every man, yes, men have their ego, and they want to be appreciated by you. So when they feel like you are comparing them, you bring them down. You don't want to be that kind of woman that brings her husband down. That's not your role in his life. Your role is not to bring him down. Your role is to lift him up. And even when he's doing things that you do not appreciate, it takes wisdom and understanding and knowledge for you to know that you are the one to calm down. You cannot be in a marriage where when one is high, you want to go high. It needs to be when the other person is angry, one person goes slow. When the other person is low, the other person can go high. It's not both of you going high at the same time. So the point I'm making, like, don't compare him with other people. JJ Sham, yay! Thank you for watching. Would have loved to be part of this discussion. Nice 1 minute corner. Oh, you can be part of it. Oh, hey, please don't. You can be part of it. Don't worry. Next time you come live. Next time you come live. Thank you. Please keep your contribution in the comment section. Thank you. Ella also child that comparison. Exactly, my sister. Comparison is bad. It's bad when you want to communicate. You use your husband's friend. You use your husband's sister, brother to compare him. Why not go straight to the point? You cannot communicate effectively when you start doing that. It's not a right tool. It's not the right way. It's not a right skill to effectively communicate, to compare negatively. Why you want to communicate. The next thing I want to talk about is for us women is don't bring history. Don't bring things that have happened long time ago. If you want to communicate with your spouse, don't say that. Do you remember 3 years ago when I called you looking at that girl? Do you remember 4 years ago when you told me that you were going to come back at 4 p.m. and you didn't come? Four years ago on a Monday, 2 p.m. That's what, and now you're bringing it for a discussion that has nothing to do with that. So you want to stay focused. Don't be going up and down and be picking things here and there. These are skills that we need to learn. Most times we get into marriage without knowing these things, but it takes the Holy Spirit and you being intentional, like we read the comment before, to wanting to learn these things that you're going to know. When you're communicating with your spouse, don't bring things that have passed. Stay focused. Therefore, you address this problem now, and then the problem is done. When another one comes, you address it now, and then the problem is done. Elvisham says the Father has given us a spirit so that we may exercise and experience the fruits of the Spirit. Exactly. We have to exercise and experience the fruits of the Spirit. And one of the fruit of the Spirit, as Elvis has mentioned, is self-control. Effective communication has to come with self-control. You need to be able to control yourself in order to communicate effectively. You cannot be someone that is loose in speaking, loose in acting, loose in reacting, and you feel like you're going to have effective communication with your spouse. When people come to me on my WhatsApp and they are explaining, some issues about their relationship, when I ask them, have you had a conversation with your husband? And most of the time, these women will tell me yes. And I ask them, what did you say? And they say that I told him now. I told him. What do you mean by you told him now? You told him now. That's no communication. Effective communication it's putting in practice all of these things that I'm mentioning, and make sure that you are being heard. And most times in marriages, we women, we are not heard because we do not communicate effectively. We let our emotions override everything. We want to act just the way we feel, and you need to learn how to take away your emotions while you're communicating, because you can never effectively communicating if your emotions is all over the place. So don't bring history, don't bring past things, don't bring up past things and come and you're just making noise. No, it's not going to work. And the next thing I want to talk about is it's connected to the first point. You need to be able to say exactly what you want. Don't be going to and fro. Don't be saying, the way I am like that, I've suffered in this marriage. I've suffered. Since I married you, my life has never been the same. Only suffering. And I had 3 suitors, so I chose you. I don't even know why I chose you. I would have chosen this, my former boyfriend. I've heard women communicate like that just because they want to tell their husband that they do not like their husband coming back late. They're going to start talking about things that do not even make any sense. You don't go straight to the point. Tell him that, oh baby, I want us to talk today because when you come late, this is how it makes me feel. I feel neglected. I feel lonely. And I know that, you're not doing it intentionally, but, I would like us to work together to see how you can try to be coming back early. Straight to the point. Don't start talking about how you should have married the other suitor, have married him. You should have listened to his mother when his mother told you that he's like this. All of those things doesn't make sense. And you are just talking without communicating. That's just when they say you're just making noise. You're a noisemaker. If you talk like that, you're a noisemaker. And he is not going to listen to you. He's not going to listen to you, understand you, because he will feel attacked. You feel like you're bringing him down. You feel like you are not appreciating him. When you start saying everything, going there, go straight to the point. it's going to help you to have effective communication. The next thing I want to talk about is listen to him as well. Most women feel like they are almighty. Oh, he doesn't listen. They feel like the husband should listen to them and they should not listen to the husband. You know, I've said what I want to say. Bye bye. I'm going. It's not going to work. Because for you to feel like you're communicating well in the relationship, in the marriage, you need to understand that he's listening to you. And you cannot understand that he's listening to you without you listening to him. And no matter what his crime is, everyone deserves to be listened to. Even when somebody commits a crime and kills somebody, when they take the person to court, there is someone who represents him to get his point of view, even when the person has committed a crime. So talk about your husband. If you are feeling angry about something that he's doing that is not like, you need to get his point of view. You cannot just come and say, yeah, I've told you my own. And if it doesn't change, there will be no peace in this house, and that's all, you're gone. If it doesn't, there's no. So you don't get him. You don't even give him the chance to be explain. You say, okay, let me explain. Explain what? What can you tell me? As usual, you want to. You can never convince me. As usual, you want to begin to talk. We just talk all the time. We women, we should learn how to. We should calm down. Like this little boy was saying, we should be calming down. The way we are communicating. We should be calming down. We need to learn these things. We need to learn them. It's going to help us. It's going to help our marriage. It's going to help our relationships to be better and be fruitful and be healthy and be effective, and be purposeful. You cannot take communication for granted in your marriage, So you need to speak. You need to allow your husband speak and listen to him. And the next thing I want to talk about is when you are listening to someone, your verb, your starch, the way you're listening to him also you need to take care of that. Because when most women are listening to their spouse, they're like, and they'll be like, all of these kind of things, like just your gestures alone. The man knows that there's nothing he can say that is going to, you just make him feel really bad. The way you listen to somebody can make them feel that you're really listening. You need to give them attention, listen to them. Your body composure, your gestures should be like you're listening. You should be like listening attentively. If there's something that you agree with, nod your head. You just like let him understand that, oh, you're listening. Let you feel that attention. It's not only women that need attention. Men need attention as well. So you need to be able to give him that attention when he's talking, and your gestures should not be the one that he feel like, oh, I'm wasting my time, or if he feels disrespected, all those kind of things. It's not important. It's not necessary. We grew up seeing most of our mothers do that, but it doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't make it right. As children of God, as sons of God, we need to be able to communicate in a way that will not make another person feel bad. Will not make another person feel disrespected. You owe it to your spouse to respect them and listen to them. So you want to do that if you want to be able to communicate effectively. The next thing I want to talk about is avoid accusation and blame. In most times when women are talking to your spouse, you hear them say, you make me feel you make me feel useless. You make me feel I don't have any use. No, I feel like that you make me feel it's attacking and it's accusation. No, let me not say that one. Like, can't come out. It's your accuse. It's blaming. It's more of blaming. I feel like you should say it like, well, I've been feeling like neglected and lonely, and I think it's because you come back late. Focus on the way you feel about the situation. I feel like it's not you make me feel. It's kind of you're blaming. I feel like I feel like this because of this. I feel like this because of this. I don't know whether you feel the same way, or I don't know, what you have to say about that, or how you can help me not to feel this way, but I feel like this because, so don't be accusing, don't say you made me cry, you should say, I cried because I felt neglected. Don't be pointing fingers, because when somebody feels like they're being accused and blamed, the first thing is defense. Because they put on defense, they want to defend themselves. So you should create an atmosphere where there is no need for very strong defense, or the other one to come out very defensive, to what you're saying. It should be an environment where he doesn't feel attacked, he doesn't feel like you're accusing him, you're blaming him for what is going on in your life, because I truly believe that in a relationship or marriage, no one fully carry the blame 100%. There are two people involved, and when things happen, two people need to take responsibility. One can be 80, 90, 95, but the other one at least should take like 5% or 10. It depends. So at least you should say in such a way that it doesn't feel blame and attacked, and you feel like, oh, there's something both of you can do about it. You understand? So yeah, so we should be able to put these things into practice. I'm almost coming to an end with a live show, because I have another commitment. So I hope that this video was very educative for someone. Communication is very important. Communication is the key to a successful relationship. There is no couple that have been married for long and happily that will tell you that they do not work on their communication skill. And like we said, if it's a skill, that means it needs to be learned. Nobody is born with a skill to communicate, because when you meet different people, you have to communicate with them differently. And when you marry your husband, your wife, and you do not know them yet, you don't know someone until you start living together with them. So you want to be able to know these skills, this communicating skill, on how you can effectively communicate with them, get to know them, get to understand them, and vice versa. And when it comes to this, I talked about, when it comes to communication, you first of all ask yourself the why or the what. What is my purpose? And you say, my purpose is to make sure that I communicate the way I feel. I remove what is in my head and put in my partner's head. And you want to do that effectively. And you ask yourself, what is your goal? My goal is to make him understand that I feel neglected when he comes back late. That's just an example, because it can be other things. So, and then the next thing I talked about the how. And the first point I made on the how is tone, intonation, and choice of words. It's very important, especially for us women. Our mouth is like okra. We just come out. You cannot have a husband and your mouth is just coming out anyhow. We need to have a culture of respect in our homes. We need to have a culture where we teach our kids how to talk to someone. And there is someone, I read a book and I also listened to a video of someone saying that if couples fight in front of their kids, they should be able to make up in front of their kids, so that their kids will know that, oh, when after fighting, this is what is supposed to happen. So don't just fight and then you go and make up somewhere else. So just the fighting is left in their head. So all they can think about is how mommy and daddy fought. They cannot think about how they made up. So the person wrote the book and say, fight. If you make a mistake of fighting in front of your kids, make up in front of them, so that they are going to learn that people can make mistakes, yet this is the this should be the end result. So communication is really important. And the first thing I talked about was tone, voice, right choice of words. And the second thing was timing, knowing when to talk to him and not go to his office or just hold him when he's coming back. He's tired, maybe he's watching something, and you just come, and since you are the almighty, he needs to leave everything and listen to you. So we need to look at the timing, and we need to stop negative comparison. When you're communicating, don't compare. We need to be able to avoid going to something that has passed. I remember 10 years ago when you did this to me, 5 years ago. You just want to talk about something that's small that happens. It's not necessary, my sister. Stick to the points, stick to what is important. You need to say exactly what you want. That's another point that I think I forgot to mention. You need to say exactly what you want. What I want from you is that you should try to come back early. You should try to do this. If you need help, I can see how I can come in and help you. So, so I wouldn't feel neglected. Tell him what you want. Don't just go about saying things that do not make sense, and Listen to him as well. We talked about listening. I remember James 1:19. I was supposed to read this verse. James 1:19 says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath." When you are slow to speak, you'll be slow to wrath. So we want to be able to practice this in our marriages, in our relationships, so that we can have effective communication. And another thing that I forgot to mention was when you're communicating with your spouse, you need to be able to speak for yourself. Don't feel like you know what is going on in your spouse's head. So most people will say, "Hey, I know you. I know you. I know what you were thinking. I know what you wanted to do to me. I know that your goal was to make me feel like this. I know that you wanted me to die. I know." Hey, don't say that. Speak for yourself. Say that this is the way I feel. Then let him speak for himself. Because even though we know our spouse, but we do not know them. You are not inside their mind. Only the Spirit of God, which is within your husband, knows him as that much. So we need to be able to communicate effectively. Let me just run down the points again. I think I went a little bit off. Sorry. Okay, so the first point is tone, intonation, right choice of words. The second point is timing. The third point is avoid negative comparison. The fourth point is avoid history, going back and bringing things that do not matter. The fifth point was say what exactly you want. Be brief. Sixth point was listen to him as well. You need to listen to him after you make your point. Speak for yourself. And the next point was avoid blaming and accusing him of things. That's going to help you to communicate effectively. Communication is very vital, and it's the key to the character of your marriage. Every marriage has a character. Every marriage has a character. And you think that people cannot see, people can see. You think you are good in hiding. We are not that good, because people can see there's a character of every marriage. So you want the character of your marriage to reflect who God is, to reflect God's character, to reflect God's love, to reflect, everything, God's kindness, God's graciousness. That is a purpose, and every marriage has a purpose. And don't take this skill of communication for granted, because you will not be able to achieve God's purpose in your marriage if you don't take communication in your marriage seriously. And yeah. So, guys, this is where I'm going to end today. Today was very brief, like I said. And thank you for everyone that watched. Thank you for everyone that commented. Thank you, Eloho. Thank you, Alvis. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for always being there watching my video. Thank you, JJ Sham. We'll be glad to. It will be nice to have you. For another live show. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you supporting me. Please don't forget to like my Facebook page, and don't forget to share this video. You can still share it. It'll be online. Someone can watch and be blessed. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to see you next week for another live video. Thank you all so much. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.